All right, Nick, let's talk about the Atlanta Falcons. A lot of stuff went on this past week in. Micah Parsons getting traded to the Green Bay Packers, college football starting, and underneath all of that, the Falcons made some really big announcements. I think they're making some upgrades to this team as far as selecting some key starters. I think it's going to be really good for the trajectory of this team going forward. We'll dive into all of that in a second here, but first, I'm Andrew, that's Nick, and this is Saturday Morning Inspection. All right, Nick, as I alluded to, the Falcons made some key decisions as far as starters on the defensive side of the ball goes. I think one guy in particular just shows the direction this Falcons team wants to go, and that is aggressive. They want to get turnovers, they want to make big plays. And I think we're starting to see a Falcons defense that we thought would be there with the introduction of Raheem Morris as the head coach. So, without further ado, let's get into the article and we can talk more about all the data on the other side. This is over on SI.com. It says, talking about Raheem Morris, he was then asked about the nickel cornerback competition that has been raging on throughout the offseason. He said, Billy Bowman. Billy Bowman, finished strong and led there. Obviously, Morris said, and he'll be a guy to go out there first that you can consider probably as the starter when you need to put it out there on the depth chart. Two new faces will be roaming in the Atlanta Falcons secondary in 2025. Bowman and Xavier Watts are both players who know how to get their hands on the ball in college. In his last two seasons at Oklahoma, Bowman recorded 8 interceptions, 3 of which he took all the way back for touchdowns. Then going on, talking about Terry Fontenot's thoughts on him. If you don't like watching him play, then you don't like football. When Fontenot talks about Billy Bowman Jr., just saying that this guy is exciting. He brings some life to this defense. Him and Xavier Watts, think we're in a really good spot here as far as the turnover department for this Falcons team. I think that's going to be really important, which leads me to my first chart here, showing the Falcons and just how their defense performed last year. This showing defensive expected points added versus takeaways. The Falcons about a little bit less than, I'd say definitely below average as far as their takeaways were last season. A lot of teams in front of them, and even you see the EPA, they're below average in that, just because this is a team I think can get more turnovers. When you get turnovers, your defense does better. I think this is just hard and fast. There's really no ifs, ands, or buts about it. And I think adding these two guys to the secondary for the Falcons, it's going to help get takeaways. It's going to help do a lot of good things for this team, because if you look at who already is the leader on this Falcons roster, you got Jesse Bates here and Xavier Watts, Billy Bowman Jr. If you look at these guys over the last 2 seasons, they really racked it up as far as takeaways go. Billy Bowman Jr., 8 interceptions the last 2 seasons. Xavier Watts has 13 interceptions the last 2 seasons. And then Jesse Bates, 10 for him as well the last 2 seasons. These guys now, you look at this triumvirate of guys in the secondary, this is a takeaway machine. I know we're talking college stats versus NFL. Might not be apples to apples, but you talk about 2 guys in college who are very solid players, obviously earned starting roles on this team as rookies, in a defensively minded head coach's scheme. Takes a lot to get there, but for Billy Bowman Jr. especially, I like the selection of bringing him in here. I think this is a Falcons defense that wants to go after the ball. They want to force more turnovers. That's why I like the addition of a Billy Bowman Jr. as the starter at that nickel corner position. Guy that can go out there and get more turnovers. Compare that with Xavier Watts, pair that with Jesse Bates at the safety positions. There's a lot of really good stuff going on for Atlanta. I think this team is in a really solid position, but we look at what this could do for the team. Go back to this EPA. You look at the defensive EPA for takeaways. Look one last time. Atlanta, if you get more takeaways, we talked about Atlanta's right about 16 takeaways last year as for interceptions. This is a team, you get up towards that top right-hand side, you see some of the defenses up there. You see the Vikings, you see the Packers, you see the Pittsburgh Steelers, you see the Buffalo Bills. Those are the teams you want to be as far as takeaways go. That's what you want to see. We saw what happened with the addition of a strong safety, Xavier McKinney for the Packers. Really got a bunch of takeaways, really helped that defense excel. I think guys like Billy Bowman Jr. and Xavier Watts can do that for the Falcons. I think this team is in a really good spot going forward. Curious what your thoughts are on all of this, Nick. But before we get to you, Falcons fans, in the comment section below, talk about takeaways. Let's talk about your favorite ball hawk in Falcons history. A lot of great names out there, a lot of great answers, but let us know who is your favorite ball hawk to grace the field for the Atlanta Falcons, and let us know in the comment section below. But nonetheless, Nick, what are your thoughts on everything here for Atlanta?
So I think it's very interesting, right? A lot of people, like you kind of alluded to, they're expected Xavier Watts, a second round steal, undeniably so for the Atlanta Falcons to start get a lot of playing time. James Pierce Jr. had a really good preseason. We've done some film reviews on him. He's done really well. Walker's been banged up. We expect big things out of him, of course, being a first round pick. But even with those three guys, Billy Bowman Jr. getting in the starting nod here, I would say was a little bit of a surprise, right? Obviously, he was a very good player in college, but you don't really expect a guy, especially on a defense that already has three rookies essentially starting, to get this kind of opportunity. He must have really earned it. By all accounts, all reporting, he certainly did over the course of training camp at the preseason. And one of the things you really hit on that I think is so critical is the fact that the Falcons, in terms of takeaways and defense, have been about average, maybe a little bit below, but right around middle of the pack. And if you look at the Atlanta Falcons over really the last 4 seasons, I'll just give you the records, right? And Falcons fans, you know this, right? 2021, 7-10, a little bit below average. 2022, 7-10. 2023, 7-10. 2024, 8-9. This is an average team by the records, right? And look, you know what average teams could do? You could start a veteran and try and repeat the process. Hey, maybe we can get luckier this time. Maybe Michael Penix Jr. getting better is enough. Maybe we just get a favorable schedule. Maybe get a few bounces to go our way. And the reality is maybe that does work out. But if you do what you've done in the past, you will be average continuously. Tex Schramm, the Hall of Fame general manager, one of the founders of the Dallas Cowboys, he was famous for saying, if you do what everybody else does, you will be mediocre, just like everybody else. The Falcons could keep trying to roll out the same old tricks, the same old strategies, and continue to be, not to be too mean to you Falcons fans, mediocre, right? That's what your record has been over the past 4 years or so. But how do you get exemplary? How do you get special? You have to roll the dice. You have to be a little more aggressive. And starting a rookie like Billy Bowman Jr. here, I think is an indication of that. He is a ball hawk. He is a takeaway machine. He's a touchdown machine, like you alluded to during his collegiate career. This is an aggressive move, right? This is not a move to play it safe. This is not a move to sit there and say, hey, listen, we're just trying to figure out a way to maybe go 9-8 or 10-7 and win the division. This is a sink or swim opportunity. Like, listen, we're going to play these rookies and they're either great, right? And we're going to surprise everyone, and we're going to be an elite defense, or we're going to have a lot of rookie troubles, and we may, have some challenges defensively that may hold us back. But I really appreciate Raheem Morris's aggressive nature. Again, I thought this was surprising. By most coaches, by most schemes, you would say, yeah, playing three rookies would be surprising. And then naming a fourth rookie to be a starter, what a shocker. Again, and it kind of got lost in the noise. Like you brought up the Parsons trade, college football. Like it was one of these things when it got announced, it just kind of like slid under the radar with all the other news. But what a bold, aggressive move by Morris, by the Atlanta Falcons. And I tell you what, I really like it. I think Bowman was the guy that you and I talking about Oklahoma football a lot when it comes to our college channel. Really high on this kid. We thought he was an underrated prospect coming out of school. Oklahoma has a kind of a couple down years, so he didn't get the publicity the way other players had. Really good offseason, really good mini camp working his way, impressing the coaches, mental side of the game, all of that kind of stuff. And now he's set up to be a starter for the Atlanta Falcons. Again, there are going to be some bumps in the road like there is for any rookie. But I tell you what, Atlanta fans, you've got a chance here to pull off a special draft class. The one thing that can happen when you have all these rookies playing together at the same time is they gel and click, and you get what they call the golden generation effect, where everyone comes in at the same time, they play together at the same time, and they grow and develop all together. And when everything clicks, they become elite. You get special stuff. And right now, Raheem Morris and the Atlanta Falcons are betting on special. And when you look at Xavier Watts, special safety prospect, we talk about him a lot. James Pierce Jr., a freak athlete. Call him a glitch in the matrix when we do our film reviews. And Walker himself has an incredibly high amount of potential. Want to see more of him, of course, but there's a reason he was drafted where he was. Now you throw Billy Bowman in the mix. This is a special looking defense. Falcons fans, you wanted a defensive overhaul. You wanted to modernize the defense. You got it. And the addition of Billy Bowman Jr. to the starting lineup is, I think, just the final piece in the puzzle to push this Falcons defense exactly where Raheem Morris wants it.
Yeah, Nick, and there's a couple other things, looking at stats, thinking things. These are also guys in Bates, Watts, Bowman Jr., but they're great at forcing fumbles as well, multiple
Yeah.
forced fumbles for these guys. So we're not just talking interceptions. And then you look at the other rookies starting on this team. You talk about getting your sacks up as far as James Pierce Jr. and Walker. I really think that this defense is going to be a lot more exciting. We're going to see big plays. We're going to see this explosive level of defense because that's how you can turn a team that was middling, mediocre as far as that level and make them really, really good, really, really quickly. If you can have explosive plays, big time turnovers, that'll change a defense in a heartbeat. I think that's what we're seeing here, the mindset from this Atlanta Falcons defense. We look at the offense. We're already excited about what's going on in the offense. The offense is going to be explosive. You hear there's hope, good news that Kyle Pitts returns to the player that we thought that he would be one day. Who knows on that front? But obviously, Drake London's going to be great. Michael Penix's going to be great. Bijan Robinson's going to be great. The offense is really set up to do really, really well. They need the defense to complement them. And I think the addition of a guy like Billy Bowman Jr. as the starter now shows that, hey, Raheem Morris, like you said, is willing to take the risk to say, hey, this could potentially blow up in our face. Who knows? But also the upside is this is one of the most explosive defenses in all of football. We're starting to see massive amounts of takeaways. We're starting to see a defense that really strikes fear into the hearts of opposing offenses. So I think it's worth the risk. I think we're going to see something really exciting out of the Falcons this year, and I think this was the right move for Raheem Morris and the Falcons.